everybody. Welcome to Roasted Pitch. My name is Anthony Morris, and I'm joined by my co-host Lauren Green and Michael Brown. We hope you had a good week since we've last kikied and talked with each other. I know we've had some quality weeks going on. First, Michael, you had your recital. How did that go? What are your things? Also, congratulations as a listener. It was fantastic. So, how do you feel?
Thank you. I feel relieved. The minute I got done playing the last piece, my shoulders dropped, and I said, "Ah, I can breathe." Because we all know how stressful it is, like especially this time of year, all the performances, all the papers, all this. So just to get that stuff out of the way, like the stuff I enjoy more, even though I was nervous about it, it was good to get out of the way. It was fun. If you want a recording, message relative pitch or me or anything, and I'll send it to you. But no, it was great to know that my friends are also watching. So it was a fun experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one good thing about the pandemic, and maybe I don't know if Western already had done this, but being able to live stream recitals through the actual
Uh,
university, through the School of Music's
I,
you know.
you know, talking about that, like I really hope um, there are some good things that come out of this whole pandemic, and I hope this thing actually continues of like live streaming events because I want to support my friends and they're
Yeah,
all across the country, all across the world, and I also want to listen to different ensembles. So this is a
right.
good thing about it. So I hopefully this will continue. This will be
I
like a
think it will. It should. I mean, some places I knew already would do that, or people themselves would be, oh, I'm doing a Facebook stream for it and everything. But the fact that now universities are doing it where students can use their nice quality cameras and facilities, like I think that should definitely be a thing. Because why would you not allow your students, to use the facilities that they technically pay to be in anyway?
mm,
Um, but I mean, this past week has been kind of been pretty rough, I would think, when it comes to what's been happening in regards to gun violence in the U.S. And I just want to say that the fact that there has been over 146, I believe, mass shootings in 2021. It is April. Okay, it is April. There has been, I think, even 45 mass shootings in the past month. When it's so sad when you think about the fact that that's become a normal thing, like every day there is a very high chance of there being a mass shooting. What
mhm.
And it's not just one area, it's everywhere in the United States. And it's so, like, the fact that it's like, oh well, yeah, nothing's being done about it, because nothing is being done about it. Like, what have we seen being passed or being changed, that what's happening, like, to help control these situations? If we want to say, oh well, it's not the guns, it's the people who do it, well then maybe we should figure out ways in order to not allow these people who you want to say have all these mental health issues or whatever to have these guns. There needs to be a better system to make sure they don't go into the wrong hands. Listen, my family, my brother's a cop, my dad growing up always had guns in the house, but guess what, they didn't go around killing people. So I would think that that's okay. If you wanted to have your gun and protect your rats and your whatever, that's fine. Just
How,
don't go shooting people.
I mean,
how's
my
he having a southern accent?
I
Yeah.
know,
I
right?
said what I said.
She's so sedity. I didn't know it existed in her.
Oh, that
Um,
really came that little country
I
vibe.
know it was so natural too.
It
But
was
I mean, my family, we support the right to bear arms and all this other stuff, but we bullets and things are kept completely different in two separate rooms in a safe. Like it's just all like we do all the precaution because we have nephews, nieces, and all that running around. I just also want to say we are on day 107 of the year. Day 107, and we've had, I think, what Lauren said, 141 to 147.
Yeah, around that, like, at least.
Day 107. One more time. 107. Okay, I'm done.
The fact that that means more than one per day, basically, is what's happening right now. I think the latest one that I've at least seen on my own eyes through, like, social media and Twitter and everything has been the mass shooting in Indianapolis. And the fact that I think it was a situation where the suspect, he used to work there. He was all, actually, just read an article saying that his mother spoke about how he was already being watched by the FBI. Like he was already on the list, and then this just happens. And those victims whose lives were claimed, I mean, they didn't even get to have their say goodbye, to their people. And it's so disheartening. And the idea of you can't even go anywhere. You can't go to work, you can't go to school, you can't go to the grocery store, you can't go out with friends shopping can't do anything without the likelihood of just that one trip being the one thing that kills you. And it's just, oh, it's sick. It's sick. Like,
here's two things. And yes, for all the listeners, yes, I'm about to make it about race. So if you don't like it, you can skip on. Okay. So that's what I'm gonna do because we have some of y'all. We read your comments, and so this is directed to you. Number one, if say a black man was placed on a FBI watch list, let's just say that black man would not be on the streets for a year. Oh yeah. And let me explain something. This was his mother that called the FBI. A black man only needed some bystander that lives a whole city over just to say, hey, this is suspicious. He would have been gone. Taken off the street.
Snatched.
Doing somewhere. So this right here is one showing privilege, showing how he was unstable, but still somehow had a chance to get a gun.
Right.
If the FBI calls about something going on, why does he still have a gun in the first place?
Exactly.
Then he comes to a job that he had and starts going off on a whole shooting spree. And the people couldn't even make a call or a text to say this is happening because they didn't have their phones because they have to put it up before they go to work. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like that does not sit well with me whatsoever.
This stuff happening, like whenever one day when I hopefully am blessed with children, they will have cell phones on them at school for this exact reason, for more reasons than just that. But the idea of me being able to them knowing they can reach out to me and I'll be like, what's happening? Like, because I mean, I as a parent, I could call people to go help. I could myself go help. I could just know that I'm communicating with my child. But yeah, this idea of like, why do we have to feel like, you have to take everything away from a person when they have to go in for a job? What's wrong with them having their phone in their back pocket? Oh, it's just so sad.
I don't like it, but I just think that is just utterly disgusting, and it has become
a norm.
Yep, unfortunately.
Because in 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure no one will be talking about this.
No, just like no one's probably going to talk about what we're about to transition to, which, they've had a year to kind of redefine being a policeman, how do we handle traffic stops? How do we do this? And in a year, nothing has worked. Nothing has changed.
During the trial of the man who placed his knee around a black man's neck for over
9 minutes.
9
minutes.
Yeah, and I think all three of us participated in the Kennesaw march protest, and we kneeled for that long. It hurts.
It hurts. I was wearing shorts on the pavement. I started bleeding on the pavement from being on that.
My out of shape behind, I had to change knees.
I changed knees like 5 times.
Because first of all, so during the trial of what's going on, and less than 20 minutes away, here's another accidental killing of an unarmed black man. And I know. And let me just preface, and I know some of you is gonna say, well, this person, he tried to run Let me just tell you, when you are a black person getting stopped with not one, not two, but 3 police officers all surrounding you, I would be scared. Me personally would be very scared for my life because of what has been going on since about the 1500s.
What I want to say about that too is for anyone, who wants to say, well, if he would have just complied, that wouldn't have happened. First of all, that's a lie, because we have seen multiple instances where people of color have complied with police and they still end up dead. How does that work? So if you say, well, if you comply, you won't be killed. Well, they have been. Okay, well then, in that heat of the moment, I can see someone going, I could be killed no matter what I do in this situation.
Right.
Because it has been shown that can happen. You can die whether you resist or whether you do not. And in the heat of the moment, you might go, I'm going to try to get out of here. Now, am I like justifying it or saying that like, whatever, like, yes, we saw in the footage, he tried to run. This is what I want to really mainly point out though. In the video, we see the gun, right? How in the world do you think, because this is a whole thing. If the man would have just been tased and everything, it would not be what the situation is now, right? Because most likely if he would have been tased and the situation would have been properly handled, he would still be alive. My issue is that there were other officers there. The officer herself holding the gun wasn't able to see that was the gun. And apparently these are highly trained officers.
We watched the video. We see that is a gun. Literally from the body cam, we know it's a gun. First of all, a gun handle and a taser handle legit feels different. If you don't know, I think this lady, she was on the force, she was like police, she was higher up. So that means she's had to have some years. You don't know the difference between a taser and a gun. First of all, you shouldn't be an officer in the first place.
Shouldn't. And if you're thinking, oh, in the heat of the moment, I just could, isn't it your job to not give in to
the problem?
So you're supposed to bring the situation down, not do this. And it's just
the gun should be the last possible option, even if it is an option for a police arsenal. Like there is many ways to, like, a taser. Yes, maybe I still don't like it, but use it before you use a Glock, which also, by the way, doesn't have like a safety. If they were using a Glock, I don't know what they use, to be honest. I'm not a policeman. I'm a trumpet player, but I can Google police taser versus police gun, and they look quite different. Even the tasers, so they're usually yellow, but there's also the black ones. But the bulk of it, like the, what is it called? The end of it, we're gonna call it the end because we're musicians, does not look like a pistol at all. So I just don't understand.
And one fatal shot. That's all that one
Texas one
fatal shot killed him.
It's just sickening. And the thing about it is it didn't have to happen that way. No matter if he resisted or whatever, he himself, he didn't have a gun. The only situation where I see a gun being used justifiably is if your life was in danger. In most of these situations, we have found that people have been unarmed, meaning they had nothing on them to hurt you, to kill you, like with their body. Yeah, but like we have seen police takedowns, like my parents watch Cops. So I've seen them handle situations where they do not have to draw out guns in order to detain people. And we've seen them with these people who do mass shootings, who have these huge guns and everything. They're able to detain them perfectly fine without a scratch on their face. Now, how in the world can you kill 8, 10, 20, 50 people and then walk out not only alive, but well? And then a traffic stop happens, you don't have a gun on you, and you end up dead. That's the problem. And that is the difference that I want to talk about. And I want to bring out is the way that certain people are handled versus how other people are handled in other situations. That's the problem.
I'm looking at I'll try to share real quick, but it's disabled. But I'm looking at the exact police models of what they have. First of all, the taser is 0.45 pounds. The gun is 1.38 pounds. There's an obvious difference. Like, obvious. And there needs to be a change. But we said this a year ago. A lot of people shouted this a year ago. Body cams are not enough.
No, they're not, because people are disabling them, or they're using the evidence to go, well, it seemed like she wanted to deploy this one instead. Sick.
I would be curious to see how their belt looks, like where the taser is compared to where the gun is. Because like if they wanted to deploy it, why are they near each other first? That shouldn't happen. Second, if they're not near each other, then that's a blatant lie.
Right. If they were on like opposite sides, that there's no excuse. Even if they were, you should know. Like you just have muscle memory. If you're good at, if you know what you're doing, you will have muscle memory of knowing where things are, how they feel, all those things. I would never pick up. I don't even know. Like I could never like grab my flute, put it, hold it the wrong way, or like even my two different flutes. I could feel them and go, "This is not my Yamaha. This is my PAL." This is like without looking at it, because it's something, if you, again, if you're good at your job, you know what you're doing, you have that in you. It's your part of your training. So what's all this money going to? Huh? What's all this money that you apparently need for all these police officers who are supposed to be doing their job? If they don't even know how to do their job, what are they doing?
Yep.
It's going to all the fancy, stupid, unnecessary cars and all these other things that they supposedly need for the job.
Before we section on to our next part, down here in Florida, the first time I saw this, I thought somebody had just pimped out their car. A Ford Mustang GT 2021 is a cop car. And I thought it was a joke because I saw it pulling over somebody and it was blue lights. And I was like, maybe this is a joke. Then I come literally like 3 days later, I now see that is their car. This is their police car that has been fitted into like a actual police car. That's where the money is going. And that is why we're still here right now.
Was it one of the undercover models that they have rolling out, or was it like with the police on the side?
No, yeah, it was undercover because it literally, that's why I thought it was a joke, because I thought it was the regular Mustang. That's what I thought it was, but no.
I saw a dually truck. If you don't know what a dually is, that means they have like the two sets of wheels in the back. They were hauling butt with like, I think it was brown or black, like police lights hauling. I was like, this is how we know there's undercover cops. And yeah, so interesting.
It's just like it just doesn't make any sense to me. If you have that much money for resources and everything, and you can't train your people to not kill, like whenever it's unnecessary to, unlawful to, you need to be defunded. Like but where is that money going? Because if maybe we need to put more money into, no, you have plenty. You're fine.
You're fine.
Reallocate it to what is supposed to be, to better training for these people, so that our people are not slaughtered because of the lack of your training for your officers. I'm sick of it. Anyway, ciao.
Let's, we will talk about this for honestly the rest of our lives. So,
unfortunately,
but in the meantime,
but if we want to transition over,
in light of all that, we are going to transition to our wonderful interview with Mr. Billy Hunter. Today, we have Mr. Billy Hunter joining us. He is co-principal of the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra and professor of trumpet at University of Texas at Austin. Hello, Mr. Hunter. Could you give us a little brief background?
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Michael. Nice to be here. I guess officially, during the pandemic year, I joined the faculty at the University of Texas at Austin as a professor of trumpet, which is my alma mater. I went there as an undergraduate and studied with the great Ray Crisera, who's basically been my trumpet idol since I started studying with him. Helped me to, like, he was also a New Yorker and like kind of guided me like through my earlier trumpet years. 5 years at University of Texas at Austin. After that, I did 2 years at the Juilliard School for a master's degree, studied with Ray Mays and Mark Gould. And then after that, I did a stint with the New World Symphony, 3 years with the New World Symphony, which was like a fantastic part of my musical career, as it really helped me to develop my professional skills as a trumpet player in orchestra, alongside with working with well-known conductors and then fantastic colleagues. Um, the that group in particular now has several musicians in all over the world and playing in different orchestras. It's a great organization, and of course, it's the founder, Michael Tilson Thomas. I have a running relationship with him. In fact, I'm actually doing a project with him in New World Symphony next week, I believe. So
Cool.
it's a lot of fun. But after New World Symphony, well, while I was down in New World Symphony, I it's where I discovered meditation. It was the meditation for me that was a breakthrough and helped me to win auditions. Um, and then after New World Symphony, I it's basically when I wanted to start it with the Met about roughly um, 16, 17 years ago.
Wow.
That's a brief introduction. So that's where I
Wow.
am today.
Yeah, I mean that was like already so much within that like 2 minute
Mm.
frame. So going back to just I guess, we're all students, so it's nice to kind of understand like how like other people's education was and how it framed them. And for you, it's so unique that you got to not only go to an amazing school such as UT Austin, but also you're back teaching. How is that? Like how is it being back at your alma mater and actually being like a professor there?
Yeah, it's like interesting. Like I mean, for me, my undergraduate years were something. I mean, I guess a little further background. I really didn't have a private lesson teacher in high school, um, but my band director was very like a special person. Like I didn't have like a proper instrument, funds, any of that stuff. Didn't play in youth orchestra. But one thing I
Um,
did do, I was really fortunate to have like great teachers um, um, at a high school that now I think the high school changed the name or they were going to close it or something because of grades, the state grades or whatever, But and my band director in particular, he was, fantastic at, inspiring kids, especially kids who didn't necessarily have the means or a way to get into band practice, But he inspired even kids who aren't even musicians to this day. It was like, oh, I remember band because he inspired every kid in there. It's like, look, don't settle for less than the best you can do. Get your grades up so you can play in band. Because back
Mhm.
then it was like no pass, no play,
Right.
in effect in Texas, right?
right.
So the whole band program was like inspired by this guy and like his philosophy set with me. And so, I constantly just practice, the music and was just kind of hungry. And so I would listen all the time, which is kind of like, I think the big thing is listening as a musician, listening to tons of music. And then when I got to college, um, it was, aside from having the great teachers, it was listening, like constantly listening. And I got the listening from not my band director in high school, but my Latin teacher in high school. They made an announcement on a PA system. It's like, oh, Billy made the all-state band. It's like, oh, he's like, oh, great. It's like fantastic. And so the next day when I went to class, I come in and he's playing this tape. Everyone knows what a tape is,
Yeah.
right? That tape. It was like Mahler 5. I'm like, what's that? He's like, you don't know that? He goes, he's like, you play trumpet, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I'm like, whoa. And so he proceeded after that to just make me a tape every week. It's because I had a cassette player. He's like, all right, here, I'll make you a tape. He just made a tape of just various different pieces of music. I think it was Bach, Debussy, um, uh, Mahler, and I was like, "Whoa, what is this stuff?" because I was only used to actually listening to band music,
Right.
band, pop, church music, and gospel,
Yep.
and rap. Yeah,
Uh,
and so I'm like, this is some interesting, so and long story short, I got a bunch of long story short, I ended up going to this guy's house, and he was a huge music file. He had like binders of like music, alphabetized, like from classical music, and he had rock music, and he had like jazz, everything, like a ton of music. And I was like, whoa, this is insane, insane. This guy, he was a high school teacher that had like the demeanor of like a Harvard professor, I would say. But anyway, like back to the UT teaching, it's like for me, it's like an absolute honor because he was my teacher, Ray Crisera, and like what he did for myself and several other trumpet players is like just I mean I feel like I'm forever indebted to this man's like tutelage and like just what he instilled in me is like I kind of want to make sure I do that, and so I started before I got the position. I started a scholarship, for the school, um, that that was fully funded within the first year because of his students had so much respect for him. They're like, yeah, of course we're gonna support
Wow.
that. That's how influential. And so like going back, it's like kind of a lot of pressure on me. I feel like it's like you know, I wanna do him proud and make sure that we have like a legitimate like trumpet studio. But it's I'm sure that'll settle down after a while. I'm
Sure.
in my like
Yeah.
first year there, so it's a lot of getting used to and like and the behind the scenes stuff that I didn't know existed, in academia. So, but what's interesting for me is that and I'm very appreciative of this. He was my teacher, my other teacher at Juilliard. One of my other teachers at Juilliard, Mark Gould, was used to be the principal at the Met. So I am, in my lifetime, I managed to get positions, both of my teachers. You know, and so
wow.
I feel like and even if at the Met, just indebted, to like doing a great job and like and trying my best to live up like to the standard or at least maintain the standard.
Right. Yeah. What I loved about what you just, talked about going back to your education is that you started with high school. And that's something that, we get to the professional realm and people don't really talk about it a lot. And it's crazy because if I go back and think about how I actually started this journey for myself into music, it goes back to even middle school because I went to the same 6 through 12. And my band director was the person who he pushed me. He was like, go take lessons, go do competitions, go do like summer festivals. Like he was the one who like put that fire under me.
Hmm.
And, anytime like I was like, I kind of want to do this, he was like, do it, absolutely do it. And, I'm always so happy that we're getting programs like Atlanta's talent development program and all the other youth programs that are literally aiming for minority students and POC students who are at like Title I schools because they're like gold mines and we don't even know the amount of talents that go like undiscovered because students don't have the means to
Right.
do like things like that, to even have an instrument, do private lessons, and people don't understand how like it's a privilege to be able to do those things. And it just makes me wonder like how many more musicians of color will we see out in the field now if everyone had that fighting chance of going into that field. I just love that you talked about that.
Right. Yeah, and it's so funny. I'm glad you mentioned that. The whole privilege thing because like one of the things I do remember. Well, two things. Well, uh, for me, it definitely started in middle school because I my assistant band director, a guy by the name of Leon Prowsey, um, he was the one who kind of got me practicing. Like I walked in the band hall and like he was playing Maynard Ferguson Chameleon. And I literally I was like I'm like, what is that? It's so high. I was like, is that a trumpet? But it's too high for trumpet. He goes, no, it's a trumpet. It's Maynard Ferguson. Yeah, and so of course he gave me a tape. So, um, so before I was listening to that stuff, I was listening to Maynard Ferguson. And so I went home and immediately started practicing on how to play high notes and stuff like that. But as far as this other subject, I mean, the thing for me is like you know, there are people there who open doors, right? And I feel so, you know, um, uh, blessed that I can, had those opportunities and that I actually walked through the door, that window of opportunity. Um, because it's like, being a black musician is very, very difficult, especially in classical music.
Oh
Um,
Mhm.
gosh.
there's
Mhm.
so many, like I can't, I just have like a plethora of stories, from 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 middle school until now, in
Mhm.
all categories. And one of the things I did notice is like, we went to, I can't remember, elementary school maybe, or junior. We went to see the Nutcracker, and I just remember it's like, man, I don't see any black folks. Where
Yep.
where are they?
Yep.
And that's like, having representation is like a really big thing for me, and that I'm
Mhm.
starting to, um because I look, on like orchestra roster. I actually go on the website. It's like boop, right.
Mhm.
It's like how many do we have
Yep.
in the New York Philharmonic? It's like, oh,
Yes. Yep.
oh.
That's exactly what we do. Yep.
And I'm like, wow. It's like, and I'm like, I'm sure there's more. Yeah, but it's a combination of like, representation and
Mhm.
like having the confidence to actually go out and take auditions because you feel like you don't belong,
Mhm.
and this, and so I really and truly believe it's like, my job, now, as an educator and as a like performer, to, let's bring step up this awareness. It's like we're
Absolutely.
definitely like out there, and like I've heard several young, talented, trumpet players of color, and not just male trumpet players,
Mhm.
like some burning, um, women trumpet players as well.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
and um, it's a broader world than what's represented, I think.
Absolutely.
And it's one of those all-inclusive things. All levels have to kind of be open-minded for change,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
And change, or make the new normal, right? And it's not just, it's like diversity, inclusion,
And
and equity
equity. Yep.
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Things, and so, getting these three things and getting people to understand, it's like, look, yeah, we got this, we got this, and we got this, and we got
Yep.
years of all this stuff, and so let's see what we can do to, like,
Yes.
let's move forward, right? Art is
Yes.
supposed to be progressive, right?
Yes.
Move
We
It's
are
forward.
supposed to
supposed to
be.
be. We are
Yes.
supposed to be.
Emphasis on the supposed to.
Supposed to. And I wanted to know what has been your journey as a black musician, as starting where you started, going through. I mean, a lot of people look at becoming co-principal of the Met as like the creme de la creme. You're at the top. How has your journey as a black musician? How has that been? What are some of the challenges you faced? Some of the experiences
Yeah.
that you've kind of witnessed?
Right. So, with the Met in particular, I kind of want to emphasize, like, so the way the Met auditions work, you go in and you play behind a screen for the prelims, the semifinals, the finals, and the super finals, all screened. So, um, I don't think it's like a surprise that, at, at some point the Met, had the most, like, uh, black people in one
Mhm.
orchestra because it was screened. And in fact, it was, three of us got in within 2 years. Me, myself, Weston, Sprott, Anthony McGill. We were all
Mhm.
like kind of came in around the same time, you know,
Mhm.
and it was just like it's like boom.
Here we are.
Like what, you know. Well, what's interesting is like so before that, like as far as like encouragement,
Mhm.
I was always encouraged like in church, like to play. Oh, Billy, come on, play Amazing Grace. Someone's like,
Yeah.
ah, right, you know. Even if I messed up, so like a ba 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 da ba da, you know, they're like, all right, you just yeah, that's good, that's all right, baby. You play that horn, right? And it was like all right, so through that it kind of built up confidence, right? And so
Mhm.
um but I always got once again I guess I'm now that I'm thinking about it, I always kind of liked listening to music, um and so I would always listen to music and try to imitate stuff because that's how I
Mm.
like learned, at least
Mhm.
through trumpet. But just like several things, like I remember being like in junior high school, and one of my like trumpet colleagues, like he used to say, yeah, nah, dude. There's no, he's like, black people don't play classical music. He was just a kid, right? And
Mhm.
he's like, what else did he say? He said something. He was like, yeah, you're not gonna. There's just no way you're gonna, win and do well with, with that trumpet you have, because that thing's like a piece of junk. And I was like, completely discouraged, right?
Mhm.
And that was before I heard the Maynard Ferguson. Then I started like, because I'm just kind of ornery and like, I just want to play, And so I did pretty well. And then I got in my freshman year in high school, auditioned for all these competitions and got absolutely nowhere, right? Um, and I was like, it's like I don't know, but I loved listening to like this Wynton Marsalis was the what album was that, Michael? The
Is it the carnival?
no, well, that one too, but like the one I used to was the Haydn Hummel.
Oh,
I don't know that one, but it was that album, the one where he has like the E
yep.
flat trumpets, and so I'm sitting on my B flat trumpet, and it's like, I can't get that sound, you know. Um, but anyway, my band director in the high school told the superintendent of the Austin AISD, is like, look, this kid, he's talented. You gotta, help him out. And so he came. This guy, the superintendent was a trumpet player, and so he came to the band rehearsal and presented this trumpet to me, and like, it's like, I'm like, wow. And I was like, and my buddy, this guy Scott, he was super not, it's like, yeah, great, congrats. But and it definitely wasn't. It was an upgrade from my student model Bundy, but it wasn't like professional great instrument, but like just that little bit of inspiration, you know, like you know really like got me going, and right, um, and so I was like, all right, this is great, but so I would go to these competitions, and I'm like, wow, hmm, and I started as like, okay, well maybe this is the way it was supposed to be, because I don't see any black folks, and my band was predominant, like my school was like 60% black, right? And the
Mhm.
band was like mostly black. And
Mhm.
what I like about, sorry, I keep talking about this band director. His name's Gary Faust, by the way. This guy, he came in and like, the band typically would get like in these band competitions, like you get one, two, or three. They would
Mhm.
always get twos and threes. His first year he came in, he inspired that band, and like it was the first time the band had gotten a one, and it was just like people were into it, and
Mhm.
it was great, and he inspired. He's like, yeah, I want you, because I want to see some all staters my freshman year. I want whoever gets an all state, I'll put your picture on the wall. I'm like, all right, that's gonna be me. First year it was myself and my other. He played bass, clarinet. He was super talented. He's like a bass player. It was me, and then like the second year, it was like a couple other people, but it was great, and so you know, for me, I had like a kind of a, I kind of felt at home because there were talented black musicians in my high school band. But when
Mhm.
I'd go to these competitions, it's like, man, I don't. It's like and so I'm like, all right, well, whatever, you know. But because I still had the band to, and so
Mhm.
and moving on to college, I started noticing it like even more. It's like wow, hmm. It's like, and then, but I kind of kept, just like, well, it's like, Billy, don't, it's like, don't let it bother you. But, and I forgot to mention this, but my mom always said this one thing. He's like, look, being a black person, whatever you do to be considered on the same level, you have to be
And to say
three
it.
three times better. You have to be considered on the same level. And so, what I did, all the people who had the better instruments, I just listened to what they were doing, and I would just do it and like practice it three times over, like and from junior high, high school,
Mhm.
college. That's what I
Yep.
did, and going in understanding like, all right, I have to be three times better. When I was in college, I wanted to go to these music festivals and things like that. I did a couple competitions, like let's say a Kingsville competition,
Yep.
and I'm like, all right, the Kingsville's International is in Texas. And it's like, I was like, ooh, how much money? It's like, oh, a couple thousand. I'm like, all right, all right, all right. It's like, all right. So I figured out, it's like, all right, I need to at least get to this spot, you know, so because I can't afford to go down, and so
Mhm.
every competition I entered, I just, I'm like, going to, I'm going to win some of this, or at least I'm
Mhm.
gonna break even, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
um, and so,
I
sorry,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry to interrupt, but I was gonna say I remember like learning that fact that that your mom said to you,
Yeah,
becoming best friends with Lauren and Anthony. So I came from Middle Georgia, which was not extremely diverse compared to Atlanta and Kennesaw area. When I moved up there and within my first year became best friends with Lauren and Anthony, and just watching them go through day-to-day life compared to me, which I was like, and then like my brain's like, I'm learning that I have a certain privilege that they don't, and then just learning that fact, and then learning that they have to be extremely better than everybody that is white next to them to get the same result, to get the same like admiration. And it was very like eye-opening in
yes,
undergrad.
And I
yes,
will have to say, like, me and Anthony did not like beat Michael over the head and be like, "You have privilege."
Right.
Like this, this is not the situation. What happened was, as we all became the people who we are and the friends that like we are, it's something he just saw. When you're friends, you see how the people in your circle, how they
right,
perceive things, how other people perceive them, the way
mhm,
that, because you see them and you go, you're way better than that person. Why in the world would they do that to you whenever and it's just, it becomes
Yep.
like, oh,
right,
like I see it now.
right.
So
Another indicator, and because Anthony asked me this question, he was like, Michael, how many African American trumpet players are in major orchestras?
I
And I
did.
literally could only think of two, yourself and Taga Larson.
Larson.
And
That,
I had to,
that's pretty
I
much
was
it.
like, there's only two? There has to be more. And
Yeah,
that's when I was like, something's wrong. And then
yeah.
that's gonna segue into the Sphinx Orchestra and your work with. I was wondering if you
Mhm.
could talk about that a little bit.
So I'm sorry. Our
The
friend
Sphinx
Zoom.
Orchestra.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sphinx Orchestra.
yeah.
Yeah. So I played in the Sphinx Orchestra. I think like either the first. I can't remember. It was the. I think it was the second or the third year of the competition. And there I met, like Langston Fitzgerald, who was ex Prince second trumpet in Baltimore Symphony. Wonderful, and it was like a great community. Like, and I had, that's actually where met Weston Sprott as well. We we have this orchestra, black Latino people. And it's like, man, it's like this is like, kind of felt for me like my high school band, like and so it was from that, fast forward many years later. Now Sphinx is like they're doing wonderful things. They have the competition, which is great and all, but like their education, what they're doing with the education programs, I think is like probably going to be even more um, beneficial for like our cause in the future.
Mhm.
I guess my how I take part in Sphinx now, I've definitely helped out with this program, the NAS. I don't know if you all know what this is. NAS. It's I guess it's under the umbrella of Sphinx, National Audition Alliance Support, and so it's a program that um, you apply for it, and that's from my experience, been young professionals. You go in, you have coachings, master classes from coaches in major orchestras around the U.S. You can apply for assistance and go into auditions. You could get private lessons from these players around the country, and it's a really wonderful program that has Sphinx, New World Symphony, I think Curtis, I want to say U of M, I think, involved. So a couple of major like Juilliard, maybe I don't know about Juilliard, but um, uh, major schools that's actually giving um, it's these are people of like color actual audition support, right? And I want to emphasize this support because that's what is definitely needed
Mhm.
Yes.
this day and age for taking auditions. Even if you manage to actually win a position, is that once again is support. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know if it was floating around Facebook. Wynton Marsalis, that one album he was talking about. Did you read that, Michael? Where he was in I
Yes.
forget which country he was in, but the orchestra, they were
It
laughing
was
at
the
him.
album you were talking about, I believe.
Yes,
He
yes.
was recording, I think, the Haydn, but he was
Hmm.
like, I think, getting nervous or something, feeling like he
Yes.
wasn't supposed to be there, and the conductor just talked him through it. Was like, it's gonna be okay. You're here for a reason.
Right.
You are making an album for a reason. Go show
Mhm.
everybody your talent. And I'm saying, Wynton's, Haydn, Hummel, anything Wynton has recorded, it's one of the best.
Yeah. And so what I gathered from that is like, look, everyone, everyone needs support, and
Hmm.
this is what
Mhm.
I found that um, yeah, in the that I had, you know, middle school, high school, um, college, and post college. I had support, and like not
Mhm.
everyone has support, and
Mhm.
like that support is it does wonders. It's like a mother and child. That that child needs his mother, right? Or and father as well. For that support, and that support makes a huge difference in confidence
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
how you carry yourself, like you belong,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so, and even still, I mean, I'm, the 16 years, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a member, but it's like the feeling of, do I belong? It's like, yeah, I guess so.
Mhm.
It's still that, and oddly enough,
Yep.
because I feel like I can't be myself, I have
Mhm.
to, put on a certain face and
Yes.
it's,
Oh, you're
Speaking
speaking.
on that, like, because we talked to, we had Garrett McQueen from Triloquy
mm-hmm,
on last week,
mm-hmm.
and we spoke about what the interview that came out with Titus Underwood and him
Oh,
talking about how he, right, first of all, yes, and then just talking about how this level of conformity that you feel like you absolutely have to do to play in those orchestras, specifically as a person of color, because yeah, it feels like we have to go in and put on our, it's more like a face and a hat, honestly, at this point.
right.
And it's so much that we feel like we lose ourselves in order to feel like we fit in.
Right.
Yep.
For me, and like in order to deal with that, I went reverted back to something that I discovered just kind of by accident. That wasn't supposed to be used for that, but I actually use it for so many different things. My meditation,
Mhm.
um, and like originally I got into the meditation by accident. I was just doing yoga, and like this guy's like, "Come to my meditation class," and then I used the meditation, and then for me it was the magic solution to getting over the audition hump, like breaking through. I had taken like 28, 30 auditions, but once I took the meditation, I won 3 auditions in a row, right? So just like a major breakthrough.
Everyone write that down. Write that down. Meditation.
But after that, when I started, just to keep like concentration, um, and to deal with like difficulties of the job, and like nerve issues dealing with people, different like situations, conductors, blah 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 blah, and then like the whole of as we I mean, always dealing with um, a black man in a in a in a white world, so to speak.
Mm,
Kind of like I don't know if you know this with the Invisible Man.
mhm,
It's a
Oh,
famous Harlem Renaissance like um, Langston
thanks to you.
mhm,
Hughes. Yeah, yeah. Well, great book. Anyway, but like for me, it was the meditation. It's like helped me. It's like all right, well, I kind of have like this sheer, and like so the meditation helped me to like, all right, I'm entering here. So, like, all right, you can do your code speak or whatever, but and
Mm,
you change, and it's like our understanding is like, all right, this is me inside, and so making decisions and thoughtful, mindful decisions, um, with respect to everyone and keeping as much as I can true to myself. It's
mhm.
difficult, you know, but it's that there's definitely still the feeling. It's like, eh, yeah, no, I still got my coat on.
yeah.
Yeah. I think you're speaking because to all of us, you're speaking to that because even now, as I'm in the teaching profession, I walk into different clinics or different sessions, whether
Yeah.
it's Midwest or Florida Music Education, GMEA, all these places, and then you look around and you see. I'm one of one. I'm the only one. I was selected for some conducting symposiums, and we just got to see who's all going, and I was like, I'm the only black person.
Hmm.
This is how am I supposed to feel about this? Is it did I really belong here, or am I here because of a number? They need that one black person to say we are diverse. Which one is it? And so when you talked about that, it really kind of spoke to us. And I asked Michael when we were in college, I was like, so tell me, where are the black professional trumpet players? Please name them. And I think because I usually am the sassy one of our group. So I was saying this to Michael as I said, name 5 black trumpet players classically. Go. And then he named 2, and then I said, "See here, now you see where the problem. You don't think about it until somebody says it right in front of you. Think about this, and here you go." And
Mm.
I want to, from your perspective, do you see things changing for the better now that you are now becoming a teacher and you are now inspiring different black trumpet players and any other type of minority trumpet players to go after their dream? Do you see it changing?
So yeah, so yeah. All right. I have my
Yes,
thoughts. I just like I'm like I got
yes. Sorry, sorry,
like too
sorry.
much I want to like say at the one.
Yes,
So yeah,
please.
I do see it changing because like I'm a very like a positive minded like individual, and I see it changing, and I hear it, whether it be through like teaching in my teaching things that I do, or performance things. I definitely like see and know like several young up and coming like smoking black trumpet players, like
Mhm,
for sure. Um, Now what goes into playing is like, well, I just want to make sure, and they don't necessarily have to come and study with me, but like, I just want to make sure that we have like a network or something that
mhm,
has
Yes.
like some type
mhm,
of support for them,
mhm,
because trumpet is a very white male dominated like instrument of the orchestra, for
mhm,
sure, for sure. Um, the other thing, I mentioned like this invisible man. The other thing I don't like is like, it's like, I didn't even, when I went to Sphinx for the first time and I met Langston Fitzgerald. I'm like, who's like who's Fitz? It's like, oh, he plays in Baltimore. It's like, I was like, there's a black trumpet player who played in Baltimore Symphony. You gotta be kidding me! I had no idea. And like, and that's another thing. It's just like, all right, they're there, but let's just kind of mute them. Yeah,
Mm,
make them
mm,
invisible. You know.
mhm.
And so, and I'm like, wait a minute. It's like we got to stop that too. Just kind of like throw them to the side. All right, yeah, it's like,
Well,
I
they're
love,
there,
I love it.
so
Yeah, yeah,
They're there. They're that one,
yeah,
that check box of, oh,
the,
we are
the
diverse
token.
because we have that one
right.
check, and but you never want to hear them
Yeah.
Nope.
completely.
And he's, and like, he's definitely, Wilmer Wise is another, it's like kind of almost knowing your history. Wilmer Wise was out of Philadelphia. He was like principal trumpet in the Brooklyn Philharmonic, played in the Philadelphia Orchestra. It's another trumpet player that, it's kind of like, it's like people, you ask like, yeah, who's Wilmer Wise? I don't know. It's like, wait a minute, no, we got to get these, exposure,
Mm, mm.
just bring them out to and so like, there's like a trumpet player, young trumpet player out in the UK. He's like, his name's Aaron. He's doing fantastic. This young kid, this is Ben DeHady. He's fantastic. I'm seeing younger, this a kid at Juilliard. What's his name? Who does?
William Leathers.
Yeah, William
Yep.
Leathers. Yes, yeah, another. Yeah, it's so, they're out there. It's just
Mhm.
like not. Let's mention some of
Hmm.
these like folks. Let's
Let's
get
get
them.
more of them.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Now I have a question. Like this whole, we've seen a huge push in the band music world after last summer and all the events that happened about pushing um music by either young or old, by POCs, anybody but white, right?
Mhm.
When, like, I know, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, when is it like true diversity and when does it turn into tokenism? Like, oh,
Right.
because of all that happened, let me play, and this is just for an example, this Adolphus Hellstork piece, not because he was, first of
Right.
all, an amazing composer that we rarely talk about,
Mm.
but because we need to, like, let's just play it because we need to, just to show that we are
Check the
changing.
box.
You ain't
Check
doing
the
that.
box.
You ain't doing
Checking that
nothing.
box. Yeah, yeah, and that's all these like things like, dealing, when people ask, is like, yeah, can you play, and I'm like, hmm. And it's like, can you play this concerto? It's like, when is it? February. And it's like, February.
Mhm.
Why can't you ask me to play in December or something? And it's yeah, and it's just kind of like a balancing act, I think, and also with the hailstorm, William Grant still, it's like what I was talking about a little earlier about, like, muting, it's like black, making things invisible. And it's like,
Mhm.
Yep.
wait a minute, it's like, why didn't I hear about this but beforehand? Why didn't I know this? Langston Fitzgerald played second trumpet, and
Mhm.
and it goes back to an all-inclusive thing, but it has to come from a place of genuine, like,
Yes.
realness, and
Okay.
not like a place of, and you can tell when it's
Oh,
like
absolutely.
a
Oh,
box
yes.
check. you know
Yep.
I mean, there's been already several examples of that, without getting into too much trouble, but like, I think everyone knows what I'm I'm referring to.
Yes.
And it's just like, come on, like, really, like, let's let's just be real with this, and I mean, we've had these like I don't know, I've been having these conversations for I don't know, years,
Mhm.
amongst mainly amongst like my fellow um, black musicians in the classical world. But And I always, say, well, there's always kind of an approach when there's something bad that happens. It's like, okay, we have to be in this together, right? But um, so we're in this together, and everything cools off, and then the
Mm.
same thing happens
Yep.
after a
Yeah.
while, and so
Yep.
it's like, yeah, it's like a cycle, and
Mhm.
Yep.
I'm like, wait a minute, and so I'm almost like, so you know what? Let's just keep the iron, let's just keep it burning hot,
Yes.
like flood it, why not? That's what happened to us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Why not? It's like, well, it's like Newton's law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Mm.
Yes.
You know,
Mm.
and I don't know. I don't want to get too like crazy, but I think we need to like do this and continue doing it.
Mm.
Yeah. And something with when Garrett McQueen was on last week that I wanted to bring up, like I was talking about, thinking about, oh, well, I have my master's recital coming up. So I'm thinking, okay, what are the pieces I want to do for it? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm a black female, like a black female flutist. And I feel like being myself, who do I relate to the most? Like black females who are in this field. And so having, people like Valerie Coleman out in the field, Alison Toll, Flutetronics in general, who are composing pieces, it's something that I'm like, I want to pay respect to these women who have fought so hard to be in the positions that they're in, and something he talked about was, yeah, like the only thing is, some institutions will go, okay, well, but will that count? Is that the right music for a master's recital? Is that,
Right.
and I understood what he was saying, because if you go think like, okay, what's going to be on my repertoire list for an orchestral audition? None of that, no piece. I won't see Omar Thomas on the list, and I won't see Valerie Coleman on the list. I won't see that. And that's why they're like, well, that doesn't really fit to this. And it's exactly what you said, like, well, if this changes, this also has to change. It can't just be one thing. Can't be one person. It has to be, or one group. It has to be a collective whole that wants to work towards that goal. And that's where we're at now, where we're not, it's certain aspects we want to change, but we're not doing the overall, like, full overarching connection that needs to happen in order to bring actual change.
I want to mention this, and I don't think she would mind me mentioning it, but the bassoon professor at UT Austin, um, uh, she actually, um, I think, made a requirement that when you audition, you have to perform a piece by like an underrepresented like a composer,
Mm.
and
I
I'm
love
like,
that.
that's
I love
a freaking
that.
great idea. Like how great is that?
Mm-hmm.
That's so maybe it's not the Bach or whatever, but it's a start, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so my point is that let's just start somewhere,
Exactly.
and we have to, and I always say this too, is like we can't like black folks, we can't do it by ourselves. We need white people to help us,
Mm-hmm.
and like hand in hand. That's I'm totally like down for that, and like um the as far as like composing um with conductor, there's so many like teaching in
Mm-hmm.
academia. It's like how many like black professors get tenure, all that whole
Mm-hmm.
thing,
Mm-hmm.
this
Yes.
whole
Yes.
with academia performance,
Yep.
even um, the higher ups past like your deans, the people who
Yep.
decide like
Yep.
where the money goes, and that's where we get into problems like, oh, dollar signs, like, nah, we can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
where that I think that's where is we get control of those some dollars. We can
Mm-hmm.
definitely make some differences happen,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
some change for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what you just said about there, we don't have enough representation, not just in just trumpet playing, but even for me as a conductor, I look to see where are the black wind band conductors? Where are
Mhm.
they? I can name probably ones that are not at a historically black college or university, like at more of a PWI or something like that, where are they? I know Rodney Dorsey.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's where you kind of like, okay, well, this, that, and that. Dr. William Blake, but where are they? I know they're out there because they're my friends. I'm one right here, but where are we? And so until we Dr. William Lake was like, let's just flip a chair. Let's flip the table. Let's really get in here and let's do something. But we're gotta get in first to really do some changes. And so thank you because you are now Professor Trumpet at one of the big universities. I personally love me some UT Austin. I hope to be there one day. And so to see you in that position and starting to change it, it is just to me, even though I'm not a trumpet player, it is just so enlightening for me to see because it's finally these changes are finally starting to happen. So thank you.
No, no, no. Well, I mean, I'm, and you know, right now I'm like wearing a lot of hats, and
Mhm,
it's not because like I feel like I want to, but I kind of feel like I have to. I mean, I got my like toes dabbled in a couple different organizations on purpose.
mhm,
Because for me, I just want to make sure we have like a community, but like that it's that it spreads everywhere, you know. And in addition to stuff like this, I mean, I do meetings with different I'm on a um, special board at New World Symphony. Also a member of like the Chiniki organization over in and like hearing their issues that they're having, it's like crazy. It's like different, but like kind of like one and the same. It kind of boils
mhm.
down to you know essentially the same thing, and so this is why I think the you know people like Chi Chi, the she's a she's the person who discovered the Chiniki Orchestra, or Chiniki organization, excuse me. And Dworkin with Sphinx,
Mhm,
um, and like all these, and young like Titus Underwood, Weston
mhm.
Sprott, becoming a dean at Juilliard. This is beautiful.
That's
I mean, this is
great.
like, all right, this is starting to happen. Let's keep the iron going. Let's keep it hot. You know, let's go out and and do as much as we can to you know like spread the love.
Mhm,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. And something that I think was really cool to see, I think, for the Grammys this year was the performance of Porgy and Bess that was chosen to, that one received a Grammy. And I wanted to know, like, what year, obviously you being a part of that, or the Met, I'm sure that was a huge thing for you all. How was that received among musicians of the Met?
Well, that was an interesting one because like the musicians of the Met, as you know, they haven't been paid in like you
Mm,
know like a year, and and they're and if you look at the award, it's like the award goes to the Met orchestra and chorus, right, and
Mhm.
and cast, and for best opera recording. But you have like this person who's who's like running the show, who's like not paying the musicians. So we
mm.
just kind of felt it's like, wait a minute, we just got you a Grammy. Like that's like kind of a shot. But like, so aside from that, the like for me doing that run was great. Going, the Gershwin Society requires that the the chorus and the cast be all black. That's or you can't perform it. And so it was really like wonderful, like just going like night after night seeing that. And what was amazing was like all those it started out, I think we did the run was like 7 or 8 shows, and it was just like all sold out. You couldn't get a ticket.
Yep.
And what I
Mhm.
loved about it, it's like I'm walking into the Met and like seeing back, and I'm seeing, wow, I see black people in the audience. I see
Yes.
people. It's like, hmm, sold out so much so they added shows.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They
Wow.
add shows.
Wow. The
Yeah,
Met Opera.
I'm,
Wow. Yep.
Actions speak a lot.
and
Oh,
it was yeah,
Being sold out and seeing people that you normally don't see in certain chairs,
probably should
yes,
do that some more. Maybe we should,
especially when some of the orchestra's chairs are not being filled.
oh
yes.
yeah, that
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole. I'm. This is a quarrel me and Lauren and Anthony have been because I'm not the huge fan of or I'm like a wind band person and like
Sure.
chamber music and I like orchestra like on the big pieces where I get to play a lot. But I was just like we go to orchestra concerts and I'm just like maybe if we change some stuff, all the seats would be filled. We would have young voices who want
Yes.
to be in it. And this
Yes.
is where it falls all the way back to high school and middle school.
yeah.
Like encouraging and showing them that there's people that look like picking repertoire that suits your classroom is extremely important.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
that's why showing your classroom that you can be that great if you work at it. And I think that's just a message that should be shouted out loud a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like even the chamber music world, it's like you see chamber, it's like wait a minute, like and chamber music is kind of because it's like there's no auditions really, like or screened auditions, and so I'm
Mhm.
seeing like wait a minute, where are my black soloists, you know,
Right.
I don't I don't I don't see it. So there's a project that got postponed, but I think we're gonna do it. It's gonna be like a performance of through the Library of Congress with a I think I don't know if you know Dr. Zim Abdullah. He was a black conductor. He was music director of in Germany.
Mm.
Um, but he's like organizing, running this like a concert, and it's gonna be a Soldier's Tale and Fiddler's Tale, and it's
Ooh.
all black musicians. So it's
Oh,
myself, the trombone is Weston Sprott, Melissa White, a violin soloist,
Yeah.
Javon Gilliam, who's principal timpani in National Symphony, and Anthony McGill, I believe. I think he was maybe he backed out. He's Anthony, but all black musicians like across the board.
I love
Uh,
that.
from major orchestras and across the country, and it should be dynamite.
That's
I
really amazing.
cannot wait to
I don't,
see
we
it.
haven't figured out the restart date, but you'll hear about it. You definitely hear about it.
Hmm.
Hopefully, we will. I just want to say thank you for coming on today and giving like your wealth of knowledge. We were wondering if you could possibly lead us through like maybe a 5, 7 minute short
Or,
meditation.
or no, just whatever, a little med.
Whatever meant just like to show our audience to show us like what you do and like how it could be helpful just in everyday life, not just particularly music.
I was just explaining this to a student before I came on. So one of the first, so my meditation teacher taught a couple different types of meditation, and so one of the meditations that he taught was walking meditation, right? And so I was explaining to my student today, and it's like, well, you have to have patience when you're playing, practicing, right? It's like walking meditation. So the walking meditation, you stand up and then in a comfortable position. You put your hands in a comfortable position in front of you, and you say to yourself 3 times, standing, 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 like in a nice, relaxed, kind of maybe like a tempo, something similar to this. Standing, standing, standing. The next step, you say 3 times, intending to walk, intending to walk, intending to walk. After you say that 3 times, the next step is right. When you say right, you lift your leg up, goes, you move your leg forward and down, thus, and you step on the ground. The sole of the foot hits the ground. You feel the coldness of the floor. You're supposed to do it barefoot. So you feel the coldness of the floor. And then the next step, left, left up, goes, drop, thus. All right, so what this does, this whole step, standing three times, ending to walk, and then walking. So what it is like you have the where, moment of calm, right? The moment of intention, which is a very important thing, this intention. Like you're meaning to do something. Everything is meaningful, right? And then the execution. And so, in a practice session, I have a fast lick. All right, so it's like, all right, you sit back. It's like, well, I'm gonna do it slow. All right. I'm saying to myself, okay, all right, I'm gonna do this slow, do it slow, do it slow. It's like, all right, let's do it slow. Intending to play it well, intending to play it well. All right, let's play it well. Doing it slow with the metronome, um, and like with intention, right? The way I do it in performance, if I have what I used to do for auditions, you know, I'd have the excerpt in front of me and say intending. I'm gonna say standing, of course, three times, intending to play well, intending to play well, intending to play well, playing well, playing well, playing well, and then I would play. And that moment, it's like a moment of just like slowing everything down and taking my time and very relaxing. So the walking meditation um, is, I would say, would be the most immediate meditation where you actually sort of feel something. Now, the walking meditation, I do have to say, that's the first step. Right goes thus, left goes thus, right goes thus, left goes thus. And so the next step after that, well, the last step, it's like 10 steps in the actual motion of walking. So the last instruction is something like heel up, lifting, moving, dropping, touching, pressing, treading. Stuff like, so it's like you're breaking down something that you actually think about or don't think about, and like breaking it down into like multiple steps. The end result is like your focus and concentration becomes like highly activated, and so so you're in the moment, right? And you're not thinking about, and so you have this halo, right? Around the halo is the corona, and those are all the thoughts, like, oh, this, that, the subway, the guy over here, but it's like, the kids, oh no, yeah, all this stuff. And so we're like, okay, okay, I understand diversions, you are here, but we're gonna be friends today, and I understand you're here, you're not gonna go away, and I have my circle of concentration, and we're just gonna roll with that for today. So that's like a general synopsis, I would say, uh, of meditation, of the walking meditation. I would say, hopefully, that's something that's useful. Definitely, with the meditation thing for me, it's something you have to practice,
Mm.
like anything else, and be patient with, right? Practice, and what you'll figure out, it's like, although the walking is like immediate, like something, um, the other types of meditation, it's like a cumulative thing. You do it over time, and like a month later, you just notice, it's like, wow, you know, I just don't get stressed when I step on the subway all of a sudden. It's like that type of thing. Very beautiful journey for me, discovering meditation.
Wow, I feel so like zen right now. Like I just feel like I just got a reset in my brain
Yeah, yeah, it's great. It's
of
great.
that
And I
mindset.
practice yoga too, and so I mean, there's different breathing exercises you can do that make you feel like your head, literally make your body feel like, oh, okay. But there's like, I mean, literally hundreds of forms of meditation. You know,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That
Wow. Yeah, thank you so much for walking us through that and just giving us an idea of how you go about your meditation. And we're so just thankful for the conversations that we had with you and everything that you're doing in our community, and that we know you will continue doing at UT and at the Met and everything. So thank you very much.
Me
Thank you,
too.
thank you for having me. This has been wonderful, and and thank you, Michael, for staying on me and being patient. I know, even we've been in contact, so please forgive me, sir. I'm just,
No, it was great. I was like, this is a training. I was like, I got it. I was like, we cast the line and we got to bring it in. But no, it was a great experience. And again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule for
thank you
just
for
meeting
having me.
with us. It means the world. So
Yes, and
Right.
thank you. I mean, I've gained three new colleagues and friends. So
Yes.
Yes, yes.
We love to see
I
it.
feel like I'm just like hanging out and having a coffee. And this is
Exactly. That's what we
wonderful.
want. That's what we want. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to check out, everything down below, all our links to everything. We're gonna have some more cool, amazing guests, just like Mr. Hunter here later on. Look out for our summer series that's gonna be coming out soon as well. And stay safe. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.